Okay, the angle 11 pi over 12 can be expressed as 2 pi over 3 plus pi over 4. To prove that, let's prove that real quick. I'm going to take that 2 pi over 3 plus pi over 4, and I'm going to add them together and make sure they actually do equal 11 pi over 12. That's probably the easiest way to verify this. So in order to add those, we do have to have the same denominator. So the least common denominator between 3 and 4 would be 12. So 2 pi over 3 would be 8 pi over 12, and pi over 4 would be 3 pi over 12. And so once I have it written like that, it's very clear that if I add those together, I would get 11 pi over 12. So now 11 pi over 12 is not one of our nice values on our unit circle. However, 2 pi over 3 and pi over 4 are. So we could use our angle sum formula for cosine in order to evaluate it. So I'm going to start by writing cosine 2 pi over 3 plus pi over 4. And then I'll apply that angle sum formula. So that's going to be cosine of the first angle, so cosine 2 pi over 3, times cosine of the second angle, so cosine pi over 4. And then it's minus sine of the first angle and sine of the second angle. Okay, 2 pi over 3 is in quadrant 2, and the reference angle is pi over 3 for that one. In quadrant 2, cosine is negative, and cosine of pi over 3 is 1/2, so that would be a negative 1/2. Pi over 4 is in quadrant 1. Cosine of pi over 4 is root 2 over 2. For the second part, sine of 2 pi over 3, again, 2 pi over 3 is in quadrant 2 with a reference angle of pi over 3. Sine is positive in quadrant 2, so I just need sine of pi over 3, which would be root 3 over 2. And then sine of pi over 4 is root 2 over 2. So now it's just multiplying and adding. So when I multiply those first two fractions together, I get negative root 2 over 4. And minus, multiply the second two fractions together, so that would be root 6 over 4. And then I just need to combine the fractions. They already have the same denominator, so I can just put together the numerators. So that would be a negative root 2 minus root 6 over 4. And that would be the exact value there. Now, just a quick note, this could actually be written as negative root 6 minus root 2 over 4. And those would be equivalent. Okay, now you answer the next question on the form.